ahead and introduce Pamela Santer. Those of you who are probably local to the Mid-Ohio Valley, I bet you know Pamela. She is a local guru in these things. And the first person I thought of when I said, how are we going to do some actual practice with these teams? How can we do this virtually? Who are we going to get? These are kind of the topics we want. And the first person that came to my mind was Pamela, because she's definitely a pro. And she works at West Virginia University of Parkersburg and has a statewide grant for doing wellness initiatives throughout the state. So Pamela, I'll let you introduce yourself some more if you want to and tell a little bit about your program. But welcome everybody, and welcome Pamela.
Oh, it's so nice to see some friendly faces that I know on here, and then the ones that I don't know, I'm going to be happy to get to know you over the next 3 sessions that we have. So when Amy kind of approached me on doing this, I thought, okay, now how do I present to people when you're talking about mindfulness and breath and meditation and yoga and some of that is just Greek to some people, and they're going to go, hold on, hold off here. So it's like, how do I approach them? How do I approach them? So I think it was almost 2 years ago, we trained a small group. We trained United Way. Delaney was in that training, and we did just a very, very short training with them. And I had some little tricks up. I gave them a little gift every week with a theme in it, a saying and a theme and a little thing that they could use in the like a finger meditation cord. There's all kinds of stuff. So how did this happen? I am trained. I'm certified in yoga. I've been certified in yoga for 47 years. And so it was way back when it was popular the first time. This is when the Hare Krishna, those of you who are old enough, this was when the Hare Krishna gang was up in Morgantown. Moundsville. That's way back then. That was when I trained. I had a dance background and a dental background. So when people heard that I started doing yoga and got certified, their first thought was, I'm a physical person. I move, that's not the reason. That's not the reason. Just a very short story. My husband and I started doing the yoga. I decided we got Richard Hittleman's 28-day plan for yoga. So we started practicing these. And it was in March, about March. So we started practicing this every night. In May, we found out that he had a brain tumor. And he was a teacher. He was a middle school teacher now. He was in over at Franklin Junior High, and of course had to go in the hospital. Very stressful time, very, very stressful time dealing with that. They did surgeries. The surgery didn't work the first time. He said, "Oh, we'll have it again." So our emotions were going up and down. What kept us going through that was the breath work. Just the breath work. That was what I had brought away from those sessions, was that breath work. The breathing, we do it together, and the breath work would work us through that. So that kind of sold me on it. Ultimately, that's what got me through my grieving period later on. So I used that. I was teaching some out at the college at the time, doing some in the community classes. Other than my dental stuff, I was doing some classes, yoga classes and everything. Then it fell off the wayside, and then it kind of came back, and we started on again. We started taking, Amy Snodgrass and I started taking some yoga into the schools, thinking, we needed some experience, and we thought, well, let's do it in the schools, see what happens. We were amazed at the difference that we're finding in these kids when we went in the school. We taught them some breath work. And it was interesting what they came away with that they liked the most of what we were doing. They loved the savasana at the end. They loved the restful part. And, you think, okay, they needed a nap. But what you have to realize, what we did building up to that is we were doing breath work. So we were calming them down And then they had an opportunity to rest. And at that time, in their resting time, it was good rest. It was good rest. Good, very, very good rest. They felt calm, they felt peaceful. So I think this had a lot to do with it. Amy and I were, we had a small grant from Try This West Virginia, pushed by Kate Long, wanting us to take it more into schools. And we said, there's only 2 of us and we both are working. So Josh Grant on the state level said, why don't you train the teachers? So that's what we started doing. We took this small grant that we had with Try This and we started training the teachers. And it was amazing. It started going off like crazy. We were the following year reporting back and doing what we had found was happening in a presentation at Try This. And we were approached by the School of Public Health from WVU and their Prevention Research Center. They said, can we do your data? Can we do data with this? And we said, hey, yeah, sure, you can do it, because they wouldn't do it free. And you usually don't get that free. So they got on board and said, then they kind of nudged us and said, why don't you make this a statewide initiative? And I thought, okay. So all of a sudden we had all these people on board and have an incredible statewide initiative right now. And what I'm pleased to tell you is, as of the end of last week, we have trained 10% of the educators in West Virginia in mindfulness. That is, I mean, it's just, it's phenomenal. It's the way they've taken it on, the schools have taken it on, they're finding, and the studies, when you look at the data that's coming out, office referrals are down, the kids are able to control themselves. They're no longer throwing their chairs at their teachers. There were a lot of teachers that were ready to quit what they were doing. And the interesting thing that came out of this is the most interesting, both to Amy and I, they said when they started doing this, they realized part of the problem was themselves. When a child started acting out, they reacted instead of responding. So when they in turn learned the breathing techniques and what they could do, they learned to respond. So they met on equal terms. So that's a little bit of the background of our story and why we do what we are doing. I am now have a grant right now. It's Mindful West Virginia, the college edition that I'm doing out at the school, the college. And as you probably know, that's very difficult to do right now because our campus is closed. But we're still doing some stuff by Facebook Live and things like that. So what I plan on doing is today, I want to basically work on breath work. Breath work, we're going to go from breath work, and the next time I come back, we're going to move into mindful meditation, and then we're going to move into some yoga work. So we're blending them all together. The bottom part of this and the basis of everything in this is your breath work. It's the breath work. So I want to do this, and then I'm hoping that what you learn today, you can take away with you, practice the, during the month, come back, might have some reporting out to do. Amy has put my email address in the chat box, so you're most welcome to contact me at any time if you have any questions, because I'll be happy to come on and help you. And if I can't, Amy will be available too. So let's talk about breath. Breath is our life energy. You notice I made the thing, breath of life, breath of calm. So breath is energizing, but it's calming too. And when you hear some science around it, it makes it easy. But what we go into schools and when we go in and talk to people, we tell them it isn't rocket science. Learning to breathe and using our little games that we have, that's easy. If you want to learn more, you can go in the books. There's stuff out there all over the internet now on mindfulness and breath work. And so you can go on those and you can learn those. So breathing is essential to balancing and regulating one's emotional mind, emotional state of mind, your health, and your well-being. So that's going to balance that. That breath is what balances that. Breath is going to reduce our stress. It's known to reduce stress. Anything that I report today, there are a lot of studies behind what I'm saying. It lowers the heart rate. I have actually had people come in for if I'm doing a screening out at school and we're doing blood pressures, I can actually get their blood pressure down by sitting with them for about 5 minutes and practicing on the breath. They can get their blood pressure down and their heart rate down. It improves the circulation. When it improves the circulation, guess what happens? It improves the focus. So this is what we want our kids to be doing, is practicing that breath. Toxic elimination, we need that breath for toxic, getting those toxins out of our body. And it calms and it energizes. So I talk about it calming and it energizes, it calms us. So this energy that we have is used correctly. When you start talking about the amygdala and how it can react, it can trigger flight or fright and going out like this. But if we're controlling that, and that's what breath does, that breath controls that. We can learn to control that. What happens when we're controlling that, then this energy is going to positive stuff instead of the negative. When we focus on our breath, the control, what's happening in your body, when you start focusing on that breath, we're breathing in and out, and we're focusing on what's happening. Your body becomes calm, your mind becomes calm, and it gives us a chance to strengthen our lungs and then practice on our well-being. That state that we should be in at all times, focusing on that breath. It's a natural way of controlling stress. You are actually carrying with you everywhere you go the best way to beat stress. And the more you practice these breathing techniques, the quicker your body's going to react to it. All of the yoga classes I teach, when I'm not really focusing on a lot of breath, we focus on breath, but I have a lot of students that come back and they go, I'll be in a stressful situation and I'll just take that deep breath, and it's almost like I feel it washing over my body. It just calms down. I become calm. So you carry it wherever you go. And guess what? It's free. It's free. And it doesn't go in our body or ingest in our body or cause any bad effects. So it's our most effective tool in fighting those things that we don't want going, the stressors in our body, the things that we don't want. It allows our brain to return to our normal state, the nervous system back to where it's ready to control anything that's going on. When we're in that state, we're able to control things better. I teach, when I'm working with middle school and high school students, I teach them practicing the pause. And that pause is where they're taking a breath. So they have a stimuli, something happens, and I say, practice the pause. And during that practicing of the pause, they know that's where they're breathing. And that's when they know they have a chance in that opportunity, that space of time, to make a decision, to think ahead. If I do this, what's going to happen? What's going to be the outcome? How am I going to react to this? And so that gives them practicing the pause is a good thing. That's what I teach them. And we many times, practice the pause before you speak or before you do anything. And practicing that pause should incorporate the breath that you're using. When you take in more oxygen, you also have better circulation. Your respiration is better. And of course, in the toxic elimination, you get the toxins out of your body, especially in those really deep breaths. And I'll teach later when we're doing a little bit of just the yoga poses. When you're in a twisted yoga pose and you're practicing that breath, it eliminates them even more. So deep breathing is going to slow your heart rate down. You're going to balance your emotions, be able to balance your emotion, and you're going to be able to transfer stress and negativity into energy that you can use towards self-healing and self-development. What a better thing to do. Transform the negativity into positive stuff so we can self-heal and we can self-develop. That is where this is coming in. If you think of all the stuff we're dealing with, the children that are carrying all this baggage to school, what's going on in the home, all of the individuals we have that are suffering from addiction, this is what they need. There's more. This is coming out. I'm using this at our home, our Hope Manor home, our sober living home. Using it in addiction, they're finding that you're finding when you control this and can control the amygdala to do the right thing, you squish it. Don't let it do what it wants to do. It wants to act out. We want it to stay calm, and you can train. It can be trained to do that. So that's what we want to do. How do we do it? Well, we have all kinds of breaths that we do. Now, what I want to do first with you is normally what I would do at a beginning of a talk, beginning of a class, and I want to do that now because we're going to kind of wind down as I teach you different breathing techniques. And when I do this particular one, and I do it with children, I talk about it's the power breath, and we think of the sun as having all the power, and we're pulling all that power into our body, all right? So you're up here. This is a very forceful breath, and I want to do that before I teach you how to breathe properly, okay? So what we're going to do is I want you to lift your hands up like this. We're going to inhale, and as we inhale, grab all that energy. We're going to pull it down, and we're actually going to make a, okay? So we'll go ahead, start down here. We'll inhale and bring our arms up. So inhale, bring it down. Grab all that energy. Blow it out. Inhale. Okay, that is an energizing breath. Probably feel like that oxygen's going in there. You do it a lot, it's going to become a little lightheaded probably, but that's an energy breath. That's an energy breath. So now what we got to do, we did just our energy breath, and I wanted to teach that before we learn to breathe properly. I want everyone just to take a moment and take some regular breaths. I would just take some regular breaths the way you would breathe normally. And while you're doing that, I want you to notice how your body feels, how your chest feels, mind feels. So I'm going to give you a minute just to kind of focus on how it feels. Okay, so I want you to kind of compare how everything felt when you were doing that. And now we're going to learn how to breathe properly. If you would take a look at an infant, a little infant lying in a cute little bassinet, can you almost smell that baby smell? I can. The good baby smell, the good one. You look at his little belly, and his belly's just going up and down, just effortlessly, just going up and down. Was your belly going up and down? Or was your chest kind of going like this, and you were just breathing up here? When we're born, we're breathing correctly. We're breathing, we're getting that air in the bottom part of our lungs and making those abdominal muscles come out. But as we age, I think we hold a little bit of stress down here. We get a little sloppy, and we're only breathing in the top part of our lungs. We're not using the entire lung. Okay, keep that in mind. I talked about the more air you get in, better circulation, better focus. Everything's much better when you get more oxygen in it. So guess how that's going to happen? That's going to happen when you get those lungs completely filled with air. So this is called 3-part breathing. This is not yoga breath. This is 3-part breathing. This is just breathing correctly. All right. You can close your eyes if you want to. I do want to mention this. If you are working, I know a lot of you are in nonprofits. If you are working with children or young adolescents, be very cautious of asking them to close their eyes. Some of them do not feel comfortable. Stuff that's happened in their life, they are not comfortable closing their eyes. So always give them the option of just gazing down and staring at something. Don't make that mandatory. You can automatically just cause them to tense up if you're saying close your eyes. Okay, so you don't want to keep that in mind if you're working with children. So what we're going to start with is I want you to take your right hand and I want you to place it below your belly button. The first part of 3-part breathing is getting the air in the bottom part of the lungs. When the bottom part of the lungs fills up with air, it pushes against the diaphragm and then the abdominal muscles come out. So first what you got to do is you have to exhale. Pretend like you're blowing up a balloon. And I'm going to give you permission. Usually we want to inhale and exhale through the nose. But when we're first learning this, I always give people the option of exhaling, just exhaling through the mouth, because we find you do empty the air, more air from your lungs when you're breathing through the, exhaling through the mouth. So when you're first doing that, if you feel like you're not emptying, go ahead and breathe out through the mouth. So we're going to take it, exhale, press those lungs and press all the air out of your lungs. Now, just take a nice slow inhale through the nose. Let the air flow in. It's going to gently go down to the bottom part of the lungs. And as that goes into the bottom part of the lungs, you're going to feel the abdominal muscles coming out. Okay. Exhale, press all the air out of the lungs, squeeze the lungs, let all the air go out. Now take a nice slow inhale. Inhale, let that air flow in. It goes into the bottom part of the lungs. And you feel the abdominal muscles coming out. Now I'm going to give you a couple breaths on your own just to practice that. Just get a feeling of how that feels. Now, keeping your right hand below the belly button, take your left hand and place it on your left rib cage. The second part of 3-part breathing is getting air in the middle part of the lungs, and you're going to know you're getting air in the middle part of the lungs because your rib cage is going to open up. So we'll do the same thing. We'll press all the air out of our lungs. Now a nice slow inhale. Let the air flow in, flows into the bottom part of the lungs. You feel the abdominal muscles coming out. And as that air flows into the middle part of the lungs, you feel the rib cage opening up like an umbrella. Now press all the air out of the lungs. A nice slow inhale, let the air flow in, flows down to the bottom part of the lungs, into the middle part. Imagine little balloons in between every single one of your ribs. And as you inhale, those balloons are filling up with air. And as they fill up with air, it just separates those rib cage and just opens them up. Now press all the air out of your lungs. Now do that a couple times on your own. I want you to kind of note how your shoulders are. And if your chest is open and those shoulders are pressed down away from the ears, give those lungs plenty of room to expand. Now, keeping your left hand on your rib cage, bring your right hand up underneath your collarbones. The third part of three-part breathing is getting breath in the top part of your lungs. So you're going to feel pressure against the collarbones. So press all the air out of your lungs. Nice slow inhale, let that air flow in. Flows down to the bottom part of the lungs. You feel those rib cage opening up like an umbrella, side to side, back to front. And as that air flows into the top part of the lungs, you feel that pressure against the collarbone. Now press all the air out of the lungs and do that again on your own, at your own rate. Sometimes if you envision that you're pouring water into a pitcher, so you're filling it up, the water fills up from the bottom, middle, and then up to the top. Then as you empty, you're pressing it out, and the water goes from the top, the middle, and it empties out of the bottom. The same thing with this breathing technique. So we're going to just take another minute. Just drop your hands. You can place them on your lap. And as you inhale, we're going to think about inhaling the pranayama, or the breath, which is our focus. It's our energy. It's the energy for practicing, our energy for day to day. So that's positive energy that we're pulling into our bodies. I want you to let that energy kind of go around in your body a little bit. And I want you to let it collect any kind of anger, disappointment, anxieties that you have. Now, as you exhale, just let it carry it out. Now start inhaling again, pulling in our positive energy, letting it flowing into the lungs, and just let it go around the body, surveying your body, picking up any pockets of stress, tension, grabbing hold of it, and now exhale. Let it take it out of your body. Keeping your body relaxed, keeping your mind calm. Okay, open your minds, open your minds, open your heart, open your eyes. So when we get into breaths, that was just normal breathing. We get into Ujjayi breathing. Ujjayi breathing is ocean breath. That's where you're making this sound in the soft palate. And then we have all kinds of fun breaths that we do with kids. And, you know, if it's a fun for a child to do, I think it's fun for me to do too, because it kind of, especially if you're intimidated with this stuff, you're intimidated with this stuff and you're thinking, Shanti, you know, this stuff. But if I say, hey, let's bunny breath, you know, it's like, hey, yeah, I can do that. So this is the way we think. I want people to be comfortable. One of my favorite things I like to teach people to do, and this is something I have some people at school doing right now too. It's kind of neat. When they see someone that's special, especially when we were first doing it in our tutoring center. So it was kind of making light of it, but they weren't feeling serious, and it kind of took that unknown out of it, but just make it work. So you have a child come in, or you have your child come in. They are just, I'm just so upset. Just breathe. Just breathe. Guess what? That's not going to work. If you just tell them just breathe, they're going to go, you know, I can't do that. I can't do that. But if you do, this is what you could do. Give them a flower and give them a candle. Okay? So you give them a flower and you give them a candle. And you say, okay, wrap your arms around. Now, what I want you to do is smell your flower and blow out the candle. Guess what? Number one, this feels good. This feels safe. If the child feels uneasy, even if adult does, this feels safe. Then what you're doing, without telling to breathe, you're giving them an activity, a physical activity that's giving them, it's the breath work. The breath work's worked in there. Very easy to do. So you can do this, you can make light of it and make it fun. We love the bunny breath. I love the bunny breath. So you've got your bunny ears. So I want everyone to put your bunny ears up here, because it is, well, I'll get my bunny here, right here. I got my bunny, okay? I got my bunny right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna breathe in. All right? So we give 3 breaths in, little sniffs in, and then exhale, okay? So breathe in. Very easy. How do you feel? Do you feel different than when you were breathing that short, shallow breath? And you get the breath in through everything and using breaths like this. The kids love it. And it's amazing. I think it was when teachers had to start doing these breaths with their children, then all of a sudden they realized this isn't so bad. This works for me too. Now we have a 4-part breathing, which is more or less 4, 4, and 4. So we inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, inhale for 4. So it's an exhale. So it's a 4, you think of a box, inhale, exhale. So let's try that. So we'll inhale for 4. All right. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that would be your 4-part breathing. Then you have your alternate nostril breathing. So we're going to use our thumb, okay? We're going to use our thumb and our ring finger. I know I always seem like I teach this to a bunch of people during seasonal allergy times. I feel like I should serve tissues with this. So what we're going to do is you're going to start with the right nostril and you're going to inhale. So I've got my pinky here. Inhale, okay? And then close that up and then exhale. Okay, so always begin and end with your right nostril. So inhale, switch, exhale, inhale, hold it, exhale, inhale, switch, exhale, inhale, switch, exhale. Okay, that's alternate nostril breathing. So that there's a bunch of different breaths you can do. What we have some of the schools doing, and I think this is good, even on your desk, if you put it on your desk or someplace in the office before, think of putting the shape, a square shape at a meeting room, okay? Before you go into a meeting room. Everyone that goes in before that meeting, they stop and they do that 4-part breathing, maybe 3 times before they enter that meeting room, before you have your meeting. I bet you would have a different, it gives them a chance to slow down, train that amygdala saying, you know, nothing's going to happen. I've got you in control. Whatever I'm facing, I'm going to face in the positive way, not let this take control. So anytime that you can work that breath in some way, whether you do it before a meeting, but you could do that. We have them placed in schools now. So the students are doing them as they leave the cafeteria. Teachers are doing this before tests. Or if they see something going on in the room, they have one student that's acting out. What they do is they do some kind of a mindful activity with breath control. What it happens, it benefits the entire class, and they saves them time from taking that child out. So you've saved time and it's helped everyone. The same thing in a meeting. This was the most interesting training we ever did. We were training the counselors in Wood County. All right. We had all the counselors in Wood County. We're training them on mindfulness. They got out of hand. They got out of hand. They were chit-chatting and everything. And I said, okay, you know, we need to do some breath work. Well, yeah, I made them do this one. I made them do this breath work. And then we did, and then we quieted it down. And it was interesting when they came back, they go, we knew we were talking too much. And I said, but we gave you a break. We gave you a break, broke the monotony. They said, yeah, we were ready to go again. The best lesson that they could have learned, the best thing that could have happened, that was something negative. You know, sitting there and you're doing this, it's like, oh, what am I going to do? You turn that into a positive and hey, it worked. They saw how this stuff works. Then they start using it. So shapes are very good to use. Also the infinity shape is unbelievable. That infinity shape, you can use that with your hand. When you're using it and breathing with the infinity circle, what you're doing also is crossing midline, which is something we always need to do. Do it with one arm and then another. If you are tracing the infinity circle on a piece of paper, always use a crayon. We have found if you're using a pencil, you bear down too hard. It's more tension. We want to make you as calm as we can get you. So we're going to practice that. If you're a long time studying, working on something that's really stressful or something, get that infinity circle. Just start drawing it and breathing. And I guarantee the more you do these things, the easier it is to come back to them. Once you start doing this stuff, as soon as you do that, your body just kind of, oh, I know where she's taking me, and I like this. This is a good place to go. So we want to train that amygdala. We want to train that amygdala, the fight or flight little thing back there. We want to train it to do the right thing. Train that to calm down. So we're calming that down. So everything else can work. And then we don't have that fight or the flight. We teach a little meditation to our students. And this is another little thing that's just little. I'm going to teach it a different way to you our second or last class. I'm not sure which time I'm going to teach you. But it's as easy, it's a tapping. I don't know if you've heard about tapping, but yoga and what we're doing in yoga now, we're incorporating the tapping type things because we'll do things like this with the lion, so that gets the chest. We'll do this, the different bumblebee breaths. But this is a tapping thing, and we do peace begins with me. We don't practice any breath. We just do peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. What principals have started doing, they have, if their school has become a mindful school and they're practicing mindfulness in their school every day, the students come in for an assembly and they're in there bouncing off the walls. All that the leader does is they'll stand there and they will start doing this. Immediately, all of the students start doing this. They start doing this. I'll be out around, used to be when I was out and around town and I was going places, I'd see some little kid, what school do you go to? And they go, I go to Franklin School. And I go, and they go, peace begins with me. And it's like, oh yeah, yeah. I was teaching a youth mental health first aid class to our teachers at the college. And I in between was talking a little bit about things that they can use. I have to do fidelity with that program, but on breaks, I can talk about some of this stuff. And I look back and I saw one of the students going like this. And I go, hey, where'd you learn that? She goes, my son goes to Franklin and he taught this to me. So she's back there doing it. So it's catching on, but I've got a little different statement that I want to do with you guys later on. So what I want to close out with an active is a buzzing breath. So if you have glasses, you have to take the glasses off. We call this the bumblebee breath. And what we're going to do is I want you to take your index, your pointy finger up here, middle fingers under the eyes, ring finger in between the nose and the lip, hook your pinkies underneath your chin, and then we have these free little thumbs right here. What we're going to do when we start buzzing is I want you to take your thumbs and close up your ears. You can watch me, and when I take down, you can stop. So we're gonna inhale, and then we're gonna like that, and I want you to feel the vibration. Okay, so inhale. Close their ears up and buzz. All right. Just another little buzzing thing that, kind of loosens up, gets that buzzing in the brain going. And I like that one a lot. So I want to do just a small guided imagery. And before we close out with that, I want you to kind of think through before we meet again, as you're practicing these breaths and everything, the difference that you feel, how you felt, with the deep breath. Maybe you have a breath that you like, works better for you, or a focus, something like that. This will work. This is the basis for our next meeting that I'm going to meet with you, and building on the mindfulness and how that works in with your mindfulness. And I want you to see if it's any better when you're working, if you're focused, if you practice one of these when you're really having a difficult time and you're writer's blank or something like that, stressful time, take a break and do one of these breaths. So I want you to keep that in mind. We're going to, what I want you to do is to sit in your chair. I had given the option of lying down, but I kind of changed what I was going to do. So we're going to do a little bit different, our guided imagery. So I want you just to sit in your chair, and I want you to firmly plant your feet in the floor. All right. And then I want you to either gaze down or gently close your eyes. And Amy's going to give us some nice music that we can kind of listen to. Okay, this is going to be a breathing guided imagery. So we're going to work on our breath and how the breath works in our body, calming our body, ridding them of the stress and anger, leaving us relaxed and calm. So we're going to start with that breathing technique that we talked about. So I want you to press all the air out of your lungs, really squeeze them as tight as you can. Press all the air out. Now, a nice slow inhale. Let the air flow in. Goes into the bottom part. You feel the rib cage opening up, and you feel the pressure against the collarbone. Now, what you're going to picture yourself under is a waterfall. And we're going to also use paints in this waterfall. All right. So you have your feet resting equally balanced on the floor. Soften, the vision is softened. This is a beautiful waterfall. It's a beautiful sunny day. So there's reflections off the water. Maybe even seeing some rainbows as that water comes through. And the water is just gently washing over our body. Visualize your surroundings. What do you see around you? Do you see any trees? What sounds do you hear? Do you hear the rushing water? Do you smell the fresh water? Maybe you even smell some flowers that are close by. What colors do you see? The blue of the sky, the green of the grass beside you, the color of the water. What do you hear? Do you hear the rushing water? Do you hear the birds singing? Now, as you're visualizing all of this, I want you to take your time, this time of feeling clean. And we're going to start at the top of our heads. What I want you to do is I want you to choose a color that you really like, calming color that you enjoy, perhaps a blue or perhaps a green. And as that water flows over you, it's touching your head and it's coming down your forehead, and your forehead is turning blue, just painting your body. And as it paints your body, all of the anger, all of the stress, anxiety, pushing out of your body. And as it moves into your cheeks, the color of blue, coloring the cheeks blue, and washing the anxiety and worries out. Now let that air flow down across your chest and your shoulders, down your arms, all painted blue. Let all of that stuff flow out through your fingertips. Just let all of the anger, anxiety, worry, sadness flow out. Cleansing your body of the anxiousness, that stress that we carry. Now that water's flowing and we're turning blue into our chest and our abdominal area where we really carry sometimes a lot of stress in that gut and that abdominal area. Let that water flow over there, cleansing, turning that area blue and flowing down, going into your legs, your thighs, your knees, gently going down your calves, and that now out your feet. I just want you gently to sit there for a few moments, focusing on the breath. Now, as you focus on the breath, you may have thoughts come in. Just let the thoughts come in, adjust them, and then just let them leave again. Don't serve tea to any of these thoughts, these negative thoughts coming in. Just identify them, say hello, and then let them leave again. Don't let them spend any time. Don't get hung up on the thoughts coming in. Just let them leave. Pass no judgment on them. So we're inhaling, just bring all your thoughts back just to that breath, that energizing breath, that cleansing breath, that breath that's calming you, but giving you the energy for self-healing, self-development. Your body feels heavy. Now what I want you to do is I want you to imprint on your mind and your heart and your soul the way your body feels right now. Such a special feeling, such a relaxed, calming feeling. I am at peace. I am calm, and everything's going to be all right. I am at peace. I am calm, and everything's going to be all right. Imprint this feeling so you can come back to it whenever you want. It's there, free for the taking. We're going to slowly come back. Just gently open your eyes. Okay, that was just a short guided breath, guided imagery. I do a lot of different guided imageries. When I do them at school, I do positive, especially for our nursing students. I will do guided imageries where I focus on them going in and doing their sim labs that they have to do. They get very uptight when they do that. So I'll do those positive ones and walk them through there. When we do these with children, we actually do this at the end of every class. And used to take them to the secret garden, but then again, started realizing I don't think secrets are good. A lot of kids are holding in secrets that they don't want. So it's not a very good place for some children. That secret garden isn't a good place. So we've changed it to peaceful garden. Just being careful on the words that we choose, because secrets, the eyes closed, the secrets. So anything that's going to make them. We take them on magic carpet rides on their yoga mats, and one of the favorites, and this will probably be one I do with you, is we go on a ride on a cloud, and that's pretty good, right? Going on a ride on a cloud, that's always fun. So, are there any questions? Does anyone have any questions? I have the paper on 3-part breathing. I have other papers on the different types of breathing that anybody who wants those, you get in touch with me. I can send you copies of those. I can.
Pamela,
Yeah.
I always send a follow-up email with a link to the recordings and things like that to the coordinators themselves. Would you be willing to email those to me so I can attach those to the email?
Sure. Yeah. Just all the paper, all the breathing things and everything. Okay.
Yeah, those handouts. That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is there are a lot of free apps on your telephone that will talk you through breathing, meditation, mindfulness. Some of our favorites are Headspace, Calm, Smiling Minds, and Calm. Smiling Minds and Calm, you can pick the age appropriateness of it. So like for our grandchildren, they have theirs that they do every day, and it's for their age. So you can get something that's age appropriate on that. So those are free. They've never asked us, some you can buy and are expensive and everything, but there are free ones out there. So the Calm Minds, and I'll go ahead and put all of those. I have a whole list, Amy, and I'll put all of those on. But those are really handy. Also, if the breathing technique, I don't have one for adults, but there is one for kids and one for teens. There's this one whole teen page that goes into it real good, and I'll give that to Amy also. The one on the teen page, I'm thinking, yeah, I'll you have to go in a different way because they have changed the name of it, but it's just on breathing techniques. So if you're uncomfortable teaching someone, you can use this app to breathe. Another thing that you'll have, and I didn't have that, if you look for gifts, they have some really, really good gifts that show breathing things. They inhale like this, and then they collapse. That helps with a lot of people. I have people that have put those on their computer screen. They open their computer up. They do some of that breathing. It's a reminder. So look up some gifts, and you'll find some different gifts that you can use because visuals are always good. That's why the bunny breath and all that I think is important. So I hope I was able to share with you some things today that will make your life a little bit easier. You can take it into everyday living. Um, and so, and those of you that I see on the street, I will say, let's take a breath, a cup of breath. You know, you always talk about having a cup of tea. We'll have a cup of breath. Okay, I've enjoyed my time. I hope you are able to take away something from this. And oh, we have a Facebook page. We have a Mindful West Virginia Facebook page. If you're interested in going on that, that's where a lot of our teachers share things. Grant opportunities are there. Another thing, if you are in West Virginia, you might want to try following Try This West Virginia. There's some grants through there. They are focusing on right now because they were the ones that got us started out. And they're supporting us right now with some money from osteopathic medicine through the opioid relief grant. We're using, that's some of the money we're using now to train these teachers. And that's where we're having the teachers report on what they're doing in the classroom. And there's a lot of grant opportunities on that. So, and then if you're in West Virginia, you may want to do a little mindful grant, something, or yoga, something like that, movement, and get some yoga mats, something like that, some opportunity. So,
Thank you, Pamela.
thank you. Namaste.
Really appreciate it. That was a lot of information, and also it was a lot. I feel so much more relaxed than I did an hour ago.
I hope.
That's good. And I needed to calm down. So I
Don't
really
we all?
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's our kids are just gonna so need this right